Okay, we're going live. We are going to do a numeral life path session, and if you're interested to be a part of it, it is $15 for about 15 minutes, because I'm going to be doing your life path numbers, and the jewel in this isn't a single digit. Let me give you an example. Do you have a lighter real quick? I'm going to sage the space before I start. And I'm looking for a lighter because we're packing a movie. But I have a friend, her name is Lotus, who is in Europe, and she needed, Dankeschön, she needed for me to do her life path. So we're going to be doing Lotus as an example of her life path, which is actually quite interesting because she was born 12/12/1975. And I don't have, if you guys are in the know, if you guys are on the path, if you guys are seeing angel numbers, right? If you guys are being activated for the great awakening, the great gathering of starseeds, then I can tell you, you know that number. 1212 is one of them. And 1212 is 6. 6 connects to the planet Venus. Can you close that window? Bloody hell. Sorry about the noise. But that's one of the reasons why we're moving. Anyway, the next time you hear me on a live, next week, you'll hear nature sounds, finally. Yee! Anyway, so long story short, 1212. 12, though, has an Achilles heel. And if you want to do your own life path number with me, my Venmo is Tony Barca. Excuse me. A lot of saging here. Venmo. Let me send you my Venmo if you guys want to do it. Tony Barca. Wow. Massive amounts of Tony Barca is there. And I'm going to pin it if I can. And it won't pin. Oh, well, c'est la vie. All right, so if you want to do your life path, I take Venmo. I take PayPal. I'm being straight up, reluctantly. And I also take Cash App. And Cash App is simple because it's Sacred Intimacy Tarot, the same name as what you see here. And it's $15 for a person. And if you want to add your twin, it's another $4. Okay, so let us go with 12. Okay, so 1212 is a wonderful number. In angel numbers, when you look at it, not only does it hark to 6, which is the number of love, but it's a guiding message. And this guiding message is co-creation, contentment, prosperity. It's a beautiful number. Yeah, you can send it now, but make sure, let me make sure I give you the instructions. Make sure to keep your privacy private. Make sure that in the notes, you write your DOB, your date of birth, and your person's DOB, and I will use. You'll know. You'll know it's you because I'll call your name, like Alyssa. I'll call your name. So let me send you. So the Cash App, I'm just gonna send that to you. Cash App is there's a $, Sacred Intimacy Tarot. You'll see me wearing a red pashmina. And then you'll know it's me, obviously. Sacred Intimacy Tarot. And then if you guys decide to do Venmo, you'll see me lying in a field of flowers. And, well, I mean, you'll see me lying down, I guess. I don't know if you can tell. But I'm wearing a white blouse, okay? A white blouse, okay? So, Okay, so let me know. If it's PayPal, let me know, okay, if it's PayPal. So then I'll give you that as well. Okay, let's go back to Lotus. So Lotus is 12. And 12, now this is the Achilles heel, okay? This is a shadow. 12 is the victim and the sacrifice. There's intrigues, there's alerts, there's be aware, be suspicious. And when I say be suspicious, listen to your heart chakra. If it feels wrong, and you can't articulate why it feels wrong, that's okay. You're not supposed to articulate sometimes when it feels wrong. You're not supposed to try to make sense of it to yourself or to other people. Go, man, no, but he's so nice. She's so nice. Come on. She's been my friend for years, right? That's not okay. Don't do that to kids and don't do that to yourself. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right, okay? So what this is a number that can cause mental anxiety, personal sacrifices for other people. 1 is the teacher. 2 is the kneeling, submissive student. And why is the 2 submissive? Because 2 in Kabbalah numerology is the moon. And the moon, if you don't trust the universe, if you don't trust that the universe has your back, then you will barely walk. You might actually be a deer in the headlights. You may be frozen in fear. So this energy that we're seeing here with the 2 can be elevated to 1 + 2 is 3. And 3, what is 3? Well, 3 is the balance between the ego, the spirit. I just got it, Elisa, so I'll take care of you. I just got it. Thank you for that. Is the hang on. is the balance between the mind, the spirit, and the body. There, I got it. I got it out. And that, my friends, is everything. And it's everything because what you're doing here is that if you transmute the number, it no longer becomes your shadow. In other words, it no longer pursues you. You can actually overcome your numbers, the shadowy numbers, like 12. 12 has shadows, but the light in the shadows is 3, and 3 is connected to the planet. Let me tell you what the planet. I can't remember. I think it's Jupiter actually. Hang on for a quick second. Yeah, Jupiter, which represents higher education, idealism, foreign travel, fascination with religions, different thought patterns, and so forth. So now let me add her complete birth, okay, number, which is 1 + 2, right? +1 + 2. I'm not going to say her year out loud. I did it once, but I'm not doing it again. And bear with me. And if I'm correct, she's a 28, if I'm correct. And here's the problem. Straight up, 12 is the sacrifice and the victim. 28 is the trusting lamb. Oh, hey, Anthony, it's good to see you. From New Jersey, amen. So 28 is 10. 28, though, is the Achilles heel. Again, see, here we're having some challenges. I'm not going to say problems, challenges. And the trusting lamb trusts other people above itself. Therein lies the problem. However, out of that shadow of 28, now do you see why I'm not fucking invested and excited by the single digit number? My life path is 9. My life path is 8. I don't give a damn. I'm interested in the double digits. That's where the meat and potatoes are. That's where you get to see what to do and why you chose. In other words, you chose, they chose. In other words, it's almost like as you were going to incarnate, they basically typed in coordinates. Think of your birthday as coordinates, right? There are coordinates like if I told a sea captain coordinates 145 to 45 degrees to 90 north, I'm making it up, okay? But he'd say, we're going to Portugal? Yep, we're going to Portugal. So in a way, the day you were born, the time you were born, we're going to go into the time because she actually shared it, is massive because it maps out some of the challenge. It's already pre-programmed the challenges you're going to be facing when you come into this earth, planet earth, right? So 28 is the trusting lamb, and it's filled with contradiction. It promises genius if you trust your instincts. It promises originality of concepts if you trust yourself. And if you trust other people, so let's say you went to college, you went to high school, and they said you never be anything, right? Like, for example, Einstein's a good example. Einstein's a perfect example. He was nonverbal until he was 4.5. They thought he was a fool. He ended up working, I forgot where, I think a government job or a library or something like that. And suddenly, all hell broke loose. He was able to be left alone without judgment, I guess. And he was able to just thrive. And he was Asperger's. I hope most of you know that by now. You should know that. So a trusting lamb is going away from the powers that be and trusting your light guides and yourself, your higher self, your heart chakra, and if you can't, then working on that. Okay? Tell them to tap the screen. Okay, tap the screen. I don't know what that means, honestly. I'm not, but thank you. Tap the screen. Apparently there's a good thing about tapping the screen. But thank you for all the hearts. I love it. So 28 is the number we're looking at. And 28, what is 2 plus 8? It's 10. And I'm about to reveal something. I'll blow your mind. Wait till I give you her time. And typically I don't do time, but this is my buddy, my girlfriend. So I'm going to do it for her. But typically, yeah, don't send me the time unless you think it's mind-blowing, okay? But she must have thought it was mind-blowing, and she's correct. So we've already talked about the trusting lamp, 28. Now let's remove the 9 in 19. If you're born in 1900, whatever, if you're born on the 9th, the 29th, or the 19th, remove the 9. Let's remove the 9. Here's the second shadow number, and it is 19. Now 19 in tarot is the Sun. It's the best card it's the best card in tarot. Out of 78 cards, it's the best card. So, however, what's interesting is when you add 1 plus 9 or 2 plus 8, it's 10, right? And 10 in Kabbalah numerology and in tarot is the Wheel of Fortune. You make of it what you down. It goes up and down, good and bad, good and bad. It does, and it does for all of us, to be honest. But the Wheel of Fortune is a time where you can actually make the wheel turn up more often than down. And finally, the final number, which is a mind blower, right, is 1. And 1 is the Sun in Kabbalah numerology. And 1, in tarot, 1 plus 9 is 10, which is 1. Ultimately, if you're going to go single compound, is the Sun. And the Sun is healing and beautiful and enriching and abundant of love. It's the abundance of love, health, and wealth. Wealth being the last thing, because if you don't have love, who cares about wealth? If you don't have health, it doesn't matter how rich you are. And you're a woman who was paraplegic, and she was made paraplegic in a mishap in a hospital and got $12 million. Who gives a shit? She's a paraplegic, right? It's not winning the lotto here. So 1 is beautiful. It's a beautiful energy. Now, she was born at 9:19 a.m., p.m., whatever. But what's interesting is 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Did you get that, guys? Is 19. So literally her life path reflects the hour, the minute she was born, which is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. She's a 1. Even the day, the hour she was born is a 1. That's extraordinary. And ultimately, what is 1 plus, let's just add the life path with the month, the hour, minute she was born, comes out to 2. And what is 2? It's the moon. Now let me explain what the moon says. The moon in Kabbalah numerology is confusion, secrets, unknown paths, things of that nature, right? But what's interesting is in tarot number 2, the moon is no longer the moon there, because the moon in tarot is 18, just on a side note. But in tarot 2 is high priestess. And so what she's being asked to do is don't walk in the shadows of the moon, which is the unknown, but walk in the shadows of the high priestess, which is still the unknown, but it's trusting it, because now you've transformed yourself from a simple nomad that knows nothing, feels fear at every step and is uncertain with every step, to a high priestess who you could blindfold and she would walk with a swagger. She would walk with power. She would walk on her path knowing her downloads are pure, and when they're corrupt, she would recognize the corrupted downloads and say, yeah, that's not it. Move on, right? And so that's the magic of this particular reading. Any questions, Lotus? If you're there, Lotus, let me know. All right, I'm going to go right to Alisa. I got you 2, 1. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. You're very kind. Now let me go up to well, I have you. So you're here, right? Okay, so now let's go right to you. Bear with me. Let me write it down. I'm going to write it down because I got to calculate it. Bear with me. And if anyone else wants to do it, let me know. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep it private. So 14 is a wonderful number. 14 is magnetic communication with the public. In Kabbalah numerology, there is something about the 14 that says, when I say magnetic communication with the public, I don't necessarily mean, how do I put it, talking. I actually mean, this is what I really mean. I mean math. That's a communication. Be a mathematician. Science. Human rights. Attorney. A painter. A dancer. Music. Of course, music. Voice music. Or instrumental music. 114. Wow. Thank you, Salty Jazzy. Let's, a quick wish. 6, the number. Hey, Jennifer, it's good to see you. And Anthony, thank you for your support. 14 in tarot is the Temperance card. And the Temperance card talks about gentle transformation. It is a beautiful card in tarot that talks about moderation, restraint, discipline, and even having fun. Like making time out to have fun takes discipline. In other words, working hard isn't all of it. It's also saying, you know what? I'm going to book a cabin up in the woods, along with my dog, my cat, whatever. And I'm going to bring a journal. And yeah, sure, I'll bring my phone. But I'm going to take a 3-day hiatus from people. And I'm going to do that. Another moment of that would be, you know what? I'm going to throw myself a birthday party, or throw my friend a birthday party, or I'm going to book a cruise or a vacation with 5 of my best friends, or my best friend, or my beloved. So it's taking time out. That also takes discipline. Not working, doing nothing. Sometimes you may need a day off. You feel your body is speaking to you. That takes discipline, because most people are either driven to the ground, or they are, there's some laziness, meaning so you want to go the middle path, which is very Buddhism, the middle road. So 14 is that number, okay, for you. Let's keep going. Let me add everything. And because you were born outside of the 20th century, you're in the 21st century mode. What's interesting about you is that you have no 9s. That means you only have one life path number. I kid you not. That's it. Whatever I'm going to tell you is your number. Okay, that's what's fascinating. So here you are, a 12. And 12, as I said before, is the sacrifice and the victim. Now, remember, 14, sorry, I have to go back. 14 is 5, which in Kabbalah numerology means the planet Mercury, which is actively about communication. And then here we have the sacrifice and the victim, which is your life path. Your job is to transmute 1 + 2 into 3. The balance between the mind, the spirit, and the body. And how would you do that? Well, the way you would do that is that you would manifest a lifestyle that would include nature, hikes, and so forth. These would give you spiritual downloads. They would give you they would actually ground your body, so your body would feel good. You would be actively purging, garbage from your chakras by working on your chakras. There would be things you would need to do as you progressed in this incarnation, so that you weren't overloaded by this concept of 12. And 12, basically, when you came into this incarnation, you had a meeting with your guide in particular, and they said, what do you want to do? I just want to really communicate, because I haven't done that in a while, and I have never trusted myself. And what do you think? And I punched in some codes. 14th of the day was what you were going to be born with, but the challenge was 12. The challenge was that you're not here to be a sacrifice. You're not here to be a victim. You're not here to do that. That's why it's there in front of you, to transmute it to 3, the Holy Spirit, if you will. Do you know what I'm saying? In other words, connecting with your light being guides, connecting with source, plugging into that more often than not, and learning heart coherence. That's the challenge for you. Let's go right into your twin. Let's go right into your person. So this person was born the 15th of the month. And the 15th is a wonderful number because in Kabbalah numerology, it's the magician. And if you add 1 plus 5, it's 6, right? And 6 is a love, Venus. 15 is magician. And how do you co-create something wonderful? With love. The intention of your desires should be based on love. It should be based on how is it going to affect me personally, and will it benefit the collective? What is the greater good for what I want to do? So the 15 is love, and the magician combined in. And I'm not saying this is true for you at all, but in tarot, 15 is the devil. Okay, 15 is the devil, and it means having addictions to losing, addictions to substances, old patterns of self-sabotaging behavior. That's the shadow part. But let's add his numbers. Let's add your person's numbers. Hang on. Let me add him. So I'm not going to say it out loud. Just trust me. There is no 9s. So clearly we're not going to be removing 9 for this. And he's an 18. And there you go. My point exactly. So 18, my point on the devil, the shadow, that person may have, some challenges in that particular number of 15. So behind the 15 lies the 6. And in tarot, behind the 15 lies the devil, which, you can figure it out at some point what that means in real time for you. Like, is this true? Does that resonate? In the life path number, you have 18, and 18 is spiritual material conflict. It's a very beautiful number because this asks the person, the bearer of this life path, to transmute the energy and to always trust the heart path. In other words, take the path with heart. Follow your bliss. That was Joseph Campbell's saying, follow your bliss. So 18 is not to choose the easiest, but the most heart-centered choice. 18 is spiritual material conflict, which turns into 9. And 9 is God's perfect master number. Now, this is something totally weird that I do, and I've been doing with my guides for a long time. When I add 5 plus 3, which is the day you were born, my friend, Elisa, and your life path, which is 3, it comes out to 8. And 8 has some karmic debts to be paid. And sometimes the karmic debts are real, like for real, like massive karmic debts. And sometimes the karmic debts are to yourself, believe it or not, which means you never trusted yourself. You never valued yourself in multiple incarnations, which is not hard to figure out. I mean, look at how people lived 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago. They would have been slaves, serfs, kings and queens, situations of marriages that were always put to play for power, for money, for land. And then, of course, we had the wonderful times of accusing people of witchcraft. So you know the ending of that. So those kinds of challenges would create an 8 frequency for you. So that means that you need to work on forgiving what you can't, like you might be carrying guilt or I'm going to be straight up, self-loathing in some aspects, and that needs to be forgiven and let go. When you add the numbers of your person, 6 plus 9, right? 6 plus 9, which is nonsensical in 3D, okay? I get that. I know that. I'm quite aware of that. But my guides showed me how to do that, and I really don't trust 3D logic because it always shifts with new understandings and higher levels of education. Do you understand? So for me, 3D logic is not solid. Whereas some of the things I'm getting guided to do make sense to me. So I'll give you an example. So when I add 6, right, which is the day he's born, to his life path, which people never do, but I did, comes out to 15 again. So he's a 15-15. That's pretty damn awesome. So this person has a 15-15, which is 6 plus 6, right? 15, which is 12, which actually matches your number. Believe it or not, that's how I came to it. You're having a different type of life path situation with the 8. You're going to have to work on that. He's got the 18. But when I look at the predominance of influence with you and him, there's definitely a soul tie of some kind, a contract of some kind, because if I added my numbers together and compared them, there would be nothing. But here I added just the 6 to the 9, he's 15, right? 15, 15 is 6 plus 6. That's 12. That's you. It's crazy. To me, it's crazy. Because, again, it shows me that you guys at some levels are definitely soulmates, high-level soulmates. And if I did a reading for you, proper reading, which usually takes an hour, where I work with my guides, and then I look at your numbers, and then I look at what's going, what the downloads I'm getting for the Akashic Records, there are downloads that come, and then all of that, then I get to see if you are a twin flame. And I've actually done readings where I had to tell the person, you're actually not twin flames, you're twin rays. And I've had that happen 3 times. So I know 2 people personally who I've never done readings. I just know, I've watched them, and I just know they're twin rays. And I've done 3 readings. So I know 2 people personally who I've never done readings. I just know, I've watched them, and I just know they're twin rays. And I've done 3 readings. I'm going to make sure you guys can hear me because I just got a phone call and I think I got interrupted. Okay, so any questions on that? Does anybody else want to do a reading? Does anybody else need to do a reading? So it's $15 for your life path. And I'm going to be uploading this, Alyssa, so you can actually listen to it again. It'll be on my YouTube channel. Please follow my YouTube channel, which is Sacred Intimacy Tarot, but it's also on my profile link, and you guys can actually check it out. Just go on my profile link, Linktree, and there you go. You'll be able to find that, okay? Hang on for a quick second. I want to do something famous, someone famous. Bear with me. Hang on, because 12 is coming up big time. Let me get 12 as the tarot meaning. Let me finish it up. Okay, with 12. Okay, perfect. So 12... just so you know, on the side note, let's finalize it, because I had Lotus, who was a 12. You're a 12. There's 12 going on. So let's talk about it. 12 is the hangman. And the hangman means I'm going to wait. I'm going to look at things from a different perspective. I'm going to see it from an eagle's eye view, but I'm not making any decisions at all. I'm not doing anything. If you look at the hangman card, which is really interesting, the person's not stressed out at all. And so that would be my final. See, for me, numerology, aka life path numbers, are very much about toggling in between tarot and Kabbalah numerology, because what's interesting and what I love about Kabbalah numerology, it really connects to tarot, which is wise, very, very wise. Any other questions? Does anybody want does anybody have a reading request? Again, you can pay me on Cash App, which is Sacred Intimacy Tarot, or you can pay via Venmo, which is Tony Barca. So if you guys need to know, if you're in Europe, you can pay me on PayPal, and we can go from there. Any questions? And I'm looking at my profile on my computer right now, you guys, and I'm realizing that you're right. It isn't coming up as live. This is so weird. It's, oh, here, now it is. Okay. So I'm going to look at the screen to see if I'm missing any comments at all. Okay, so before we do another numerology, I'm going to pull an oracle card for you guys to kind of give you an energy of what's going on right now. And my favorite oracle creator, does today's age have an influence? Does today's age have an influence? Fex 48. I don't know what that means, Jennifer. What does that mean? Kind of like reframe the question. If you could reframe the question, that would be good. Because I honestly don't know what that means. Does today's age have an influence? On the numbers, does today's age have an... I'm trying to figure it out. You mean, does today's... what we're living right now, does it have an influence on your life path numbers? They're telling me to say absolutely. So I'm going to say that. Absolutely. Because the very things that are the challenges of this age, the sacrifice and the victim. For example, I'm 48. Does the year influence life path? Yeah, you can play around with that too. Yeah, you can totally play around with that. But most importantly, the question that I got out of your question is, will these numbers affect you in this age? And the answer is yes. Because being a sacrifice and the victim, right, and going through what you're going through is going to be some you got to go over it. Now, the fact that you're 48, right? 4 plus 8 is 12, right? We got that. Is definitely a call to arms to take it seriously. There's a vibration to that. It's kind of like being you're the tiger, like you're the dragon, you're the tiger. You know, you're the this, you're the that. There's a lot of energy around that, and you do bolster more energy with one year over another. Absolutely. So I get you on that question. I finally got it. I'm slow, but I finally get it. But ultimately, the numbers were put into place so that similar issues that are happening right now are overcome with heart. They're overcome with heart. Does that make sense? So that you're able to navigate out of these patterns from multiple incarnations. Does that make sense? That's really what this is about. Some of these life paths. Like, for example, my life path is 5, right? It's 32 and 23. Line of the Magi, right? 32, magnetic communication with the public. 18, spiritual material conflict, which I finally was able to overcome. It took me a long fucking time to overcome 18. But thank God, in this incarnation, the vessel I embody with this egoic mass of my brain in this particular timeline, right? This lineage I chose to somehow be fearless in making decisions that led me away from material success in the beginnings were necessary. And I thank God every day I made those choices because I chose heart path over money. And that was my lesson in this incarnation. And you could say I broke the fucking code for myself with that. 23, I'm giving you me as an example. So, because, you know, I see 23 a lot, by the way. And I have a lot of people that come to me with the number 23 attached to their emails or some level. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. My twin is 23. It's all 23. But anyway, 23 line of the Magi in Kabbalah, what I can tell you is that my North Node is Leo. So it's right on point. Like some of this shit you can't make up. So yeah, 48, you're 12, boom. This is the year to... for many of you, actually, regardless of whatever you discover with you playing around with numbers, but this year, 2024, the universe is asking us to step up in mass. Last year, I was saying the Starseed tribes are gathering. This year, let's do something with that. Now, there's still Starseed tribes gathering, and we just gotta do better. Okay. Any other questions on that? Does that make sense? Any other questions? Does anybody want a reading? I'm going to go ahead and put up the payment. So if you are in America, Venmo, it's Tony Barkin 9. And if you decide to use Cash App, it is Sacred Intimacy Tarot. And you'll see me with a red pashmina wrapped around me. That's me. So you'll see that. And it's $15. And if you add your partner, it's 14. It's an extra 4. It's an extra 4. Excuse me, 4. So it's a total of $19 if you decide. Okay. All right. Let me see. So does anybody have a question right now? Does anybody have a question? It makes sense. Yeah. So that's a big deal. Okay. When you notice that was a good call. So really, you've got to keep being led by the sun, in your case, being the one, right? Ultimately, the one life path. That's going to be what's important, okay? Does anybody want to do a reading right now? Let me know. Because that's going to give you a lot of information about your connection with another person. But most importantly, before you find out about another person, in my opinion, it's best, okay? It's best if you find out about yourself. Like, why did I choose this? Why did I do that? Why did I go X, Y, and Z instead of, you know what I'm saying? It's really important. So, any questions on that? Any questions at all? Hey, Claire Mora, how are you? So, I'm going to go ahead and do a oracle reading, but then, actually, before I do, let's find a famous person to do. We've done Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner. We've done some pretty famous people. I wish we knew some of the birth dates of the ancients, because they are, to me, the most interesting. Hang on. Okay, let me see if I can find someone and see if there's any birth date. Oh, shit. Hello. Alexander the Great. July 20th, 356 BC. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do his. I'm so glad I looked because I'm fascinated by people who've done great things in impossible times. To me, that's pretty much interesting. Let me go ahead and do this. Bear with me. Yeah, Alexander the Great. So they're saying he was born the 20th. The 20th in Kabbalah numerology and in, believe it or not, in tarot. In tarot, it's judgment. It's judgment. What does that mean? It means, it's almost like if you look at the card judgment, there are people coming out of the caskets. So it's like a reincarnation thing. It's like coming out transformed. Judgment also for the Kabbalah numerology, 20 is the awakening. It's coming out of a deep sleep. It's a massive awakening. So let's look at his numbers. Now, when you have 20 and you take it down to 2, you got the high priest, high priestess, high priest, right? High priest. And to be honest, I'm going to say this. He was definitely a high priest. He definitely walked that power of the high priest. Let's keep going. Let me add his date of birth, which is 356 BC. And you won't believe this shit. 23, the line of the Magi. I can't fucking believe this. So Alexander the Great, born July 20th, 356 BC, was life path 23. Listen to this, which is 5, which harks to Mercury. What is Mercury? What is 5? It's not only an incredible way to communicate with people in various ways, and he communicated in various ways. I'll tell you a story in a minute. But 23 is the lion. And what was he known as? As the lion. And believe me, I don't think these people did numerology, okay? I doubt it. I think they did other magical things, but definitely not that. So here we have the line of the Magi. And when you add the 2, which is the day he's born, right? 20, which take it down to single compound number 2, plus 5, what do we have? 7. 7 is the journey, the 7 wonders of the world. It used to be the 7 chakras. We now have 9 somatic chakras. We've been upgraded in the last 10 years, just so on the side note. But yeah, 7, which connects to the planet Neptune. It's the frequency of Neptune. And Neptune, planet Neptune. Anyway, Neptune is the vibration of emotions, of magic, of it's magnificent. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of when I look at the energy of Neptune, there's a lot of blue. And what is blue? Throat chakra, right? There's a lot of throat. So honestly, when you look at the day he was born, July 20th, so there's the awakening. He awakened his people. He conquered lands. He was a magnetic communicator, life path 5. And when you add his, again, not being 3D logical, we're going broke here. We're going for everything. We want to get all the crumbs on the floor. So 2 plus 5 is 7. The journey, and let's be honest, he had a magnificent journey. He was highly educated. When he went to conquer Persia, I'm going to tell you how he told his men that he was that basically they had nothing to do but they better conquer Persia. Hang on for a quick second. Studied with, I want to tell you who he studied with. But anyway, they had crossed the Mediterranean Sea, and he had to tell his men, listen, we have no way back. And the only way he could do that was to burn the ships at night. And so that's what he did. He had his men burn the ships so that his forces saw. And the message was clear. I'm telling you, the man knew how to communicate with his men. The message was, we have no way home. We got to fucking get Persia. We better win. And he did. He was educated by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. And he was brilliant. Medicine, philosophy, scientific investigation. His horse, he was so famous, him, as a warrior, as a conqueror. But his horse is known throughout time. It's called, his horse's name was Bucephalus, which is, there's a famous story of him. This was a black stallion that no one could ride. And Alexander decided that he would go against his father, Philip of Macedon, and ride that horse, and he did, and that horse became his horse, his battle horse. So he was he could communicate with animals apparently. He could communicate with his people, yeah, he was quite a character. I don't think people really know his story. He was also bisexual. I don't know if you guys know that, and he was curious about everything. And I think he died. Let me look at the day of death if they know it. You never know, though. Alexander, day of death. And there's many stories about how he died. June 10th. Let's do the numerology on that. I did that with Jim Morrison, which blew my mind. So June 10th, 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. And I've seen in tarot, when I had a girlfriend a long time ago asked me, do you think my mom's going to live? And she said, just do it with one card. Wheel of Fortune came up. And the Wheel of Fortune is, what do you want? Do you want to live or do you want to die? So one, again, here we go with the one. Remember, 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. It goes down to the number one. Number one is sun. It's the sun. It's connected to the sun. And what that means, again, is we're connecting the lion that he was known for as being a lion. He was just powerful, into the sun, which is also Leo energy in tarot. When you add 323 BC, I kid you not, 323 BC, you can't make this up. So here I'm going to add the days. And here we have 15, magician. 15, he goes out of his body, which 15 is the magician, and 15 turns to 6, which is love. He was 32 years old when he died. 32 is 5. Magnetic communication with the public. Again and again. And he's famous. He's been quoted. He's been written about. The movies have been made about him. People have studied his battles. To this day, West Point studies, other armies and schools and they study him and they study Hannibal Barca. They study those two generals. So my point is, yeah, everywhere here we see a lot of magnetic communication. We see the same numbers repeated again and again. It's quite interesting, don't you think? Can you tell a lot by times of birth and dates? Yeah, I kind of just did. But when you go back, you'll be able to see, if you decide to go back to this video, right to this live, and you want to listen to the very beginning, you'll see that I actually did a time for a day, the time of birth. I really don't do it because my readings typically are, I do them fast. It's a 1 hour reading when I do a proper a twin flame reading or a starseed reading, or if I do an Akashic reading. The Akashic reading is about 75-80 minutes. 15 of those minutes are me meditating before I go into session with the client, and I get my downloads from the Akashic library, and the guardians are there, and they drop light codes through my crown chakra, and they basically tell me what the person needs to know. And that's how the readings are. And those readings are $108. And if you want to record it, you're welcome to record it. The only recordings I do is when I do hypnotherapy, past life regression, and I do it on Zoom, and then I record, and it's 2 hours. It takes about 2 hours because it takes time to go under. I had one client where it was a 3 hour session. So that's interesting. I did hear, yes, very interesting. I did ask before you started, so it was very interesting. Yeah, no, absolutely. Check it out. So again, if you want to do a reading with me, it's $15 for yourself. And if you want to add a partner, it's another $4. So it's $19 for two people. And if you pay me, then make sure to put your date of birth on the note. Okay, make sure to do that. Okay. Any questions on that? So I love that we did Alexander the Great. I wonder if they know when Cleopatra... I'm just asking questions here. I love ancient people, so D.O.B. Let's see if for some reason they have... Holy shit, they have it. Actually, no. They have that she was born in January, so she could have been Aquarius or Capricorn, so that's different. And she was born, kid you not, 69 BC. 69 BC. So I'm just going to assume she's a Capricorn, believe it or not, because her energy was more earth and earthy than anything. So she would have been a 17. And a 17 is star, healing energy. In tarot, it's star. Okay, that's wonderful. But in Kabbalah numerology, 17 is the star of the Magi. You can do whatever you want, but then boom, 1 plus 7 is 8, and it collapses into the karmic number 8, which is a lot of intensity. And if you know her death, yeah, I love Cleopatra. Let's look at let's look at Nefertiti for the hell of it, and let's see if they have a date of birth. No, all they have is 1370 BC, which would be 11. And 11 is the muzzle line, just right off the bat, just if we look at it. And she died on 7, or 1330 BC, which would be 7. Let's look at Mark Antony for the hell of it. Because I'm sure they have him. I mean, I hope they have him. Bloody hell. The Romans were good with record keeping. No, I wasn't able. I got Mark Antony, the actor. Can you bloody imagine? Bloody hell. Give me a break. That's what came up. Let me see. We did, who can we do that's really cool? Let's do Van Gogh. Let's do Van Gogh the painter, okay? Van Gogh the painter, because he started painting when he was 28, and DOB. And you know how he died. March 30th, so he's in Aries, okay, right off the bat. And 3, by the way, the 30th is the hermit. It's going within. It's the loner. It's the meditation. He was born March 30th, 1853. So when you take 30, which is the loner, the meditation, and he was a lonely man. He was super lonely. You get the number, if he had overcome this, he would have gone from 30 to 3. 3 is the number of the balance between the ego, the mind, the monkey mind, the spirit, and the body. Okay, so let's go. So he's a 3-3 right off the bat. 1853. Let's look at that, just for the hell of it. I mean, this guy never sold a painting in his life until he died. 23. Magnetic line of the Magi. That's interesting. Do you see how I keep being attracted to 23s? This is insane. Anyway, so he is a 23, and 23 is the line of the Magi. It's a massive, fantastic number. That's a good idea. I will do Rumi next. Thank you for asking. I love people like that. And it is a powerful number. Magnetic communication with the public. When you add 3 plus 5, right? The day he's born, boom, 8 karma, massive karma. Let's look at Rumi. Good idea. Thank you. I love that. Let's do Rumi. So he was born September 30th. Again, 3, 30. Wow. Okay, so same deal. It's this magical. He was born in Persia. He was known as Jela ad-Din Muhammad Balkin in the West, as Rumi was born on September 30th, 1207, in the province of Afghanistan, Balkh province, on the eastern edge of the Persian Empire. Okay, so let's do it. So 9 plus 3 plus 1. You realize he has no 9s, which means he's one direct life path number, one number. You're not going to believe this. Hang on, let me do it again to make sure. So when you add it, let me make sure, okay, because this is, yeah, he's a 22. Okay, so 22, okay, check it out. So 22 is 2 plus 2 is 4, right? 2 plus 2 is 4. And what does that mean? It means that it's a 4, and 4 is the number of the person that comes in, a volunteer. So Rumi was a volunteer. Rumi was a volunteer, and you got to think about it. He was alive and thriving while Europe was in the Dark Ages, right? 1207. Hang on, let me do this. Europe. Let me look at what's so here. Think about this. So here he is born in Afghanistan, right, on the edges of the eastern part of the empire, right? But 1207. Hang on. Dark Ages. Hang on. Let me see when that was. And I'm having some problems with this bloody. Oh, bloody hell. Showing results of it. Okay, was it coming? Blah blah. Okay, so. Yeah, the Dark Ages is the middle. Okay, the Middle Ages. So that's 5th century to 10th century. Let me look at this real quick. Okay. So it really started in the 1330s. So he's born at a time when things are kind of barbaric, okay, in Europe. And this man is writing some of the most beautiful poetry of love, a transcendental love that still hits people so beautifully. In other words, people are just blown away. The troubadours who came after, right, came at during that. Apparently, I bet you there was some influences from Rumi, because it says here French medieval lyric poet composing and singing in Provençal in the 11th to 12th century, especially on the theme of courtly love. So, courtly love, romantic love, as we know it, has been given credit to the French. He fled to Turkey, gotcha. And to be honest, when you look at Rumi's work, which was around that time, it was like the 100 monkey theory. Apparently, it was such a dark time that, 13th century poet, that people needed to find something that made sense, and love was the only thing that could make sense. And so there was this beautiful romantic era that happened during those ages. He died December 17th in at 1273. So let's look at what those numbers mean. 17 is the star in tarot, which is Aquarius energy, which is very much about healing. But again, it transmutes to 8, karma. Okay, he died at 66 years old, which is 12, by the way, on the side note. But let's look at what's happening. Let's add all his numbers on the day he passed and see what they reveal. That really fascinates me as well. All right. So let's look at this. And it's 24. Love, money, and power. Love, money, and power is 24. And it's actually one of the best numbers. 23, 24, 21, 19. Those are like massively fantastic numbers. If you're born under those numbers, and you're born on that day, or your life path is that, yeah, you're kicking ass. But you've got to look at your day or your life path numbers to get the whole story. But anyway, love, money, and power. 2 + 4 is 6. He went out on the wings of love. No kidding, because all he lived was about love. All he wrote was love. So that was a great call. Thank you. Any other questions on that? All right. I love that we did Rumi. That was great. I love that. Trying to remember this other poet that was Hindu. He was such an incredible poet. I'll have to look for it in a minute. But let's go ahead and do an oracle reading. If you want your numbers read, let me know. I'm taking Cash App and Venmo. It's $15. And I've just done a couple people just now. And it looked really good. It was interesting how the people that are attracted to do this have some, power that they need to actually claim as their own. They have to claim it and then use that power for good for themselves and good for others. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a card from the Oracle, Lightworker Oracle card. And again, we have 12 people, which I think is interesting. Again, the number 12 is a theme today for whatever reason. And I want you guys to give your angels, guides, and allies permission to guide you in this session, because you're going to be actually picking top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. And you know how it works, right? Top, bottom, or middle. And when you're ready, I'll read it. Top. Okay, I'm going with top. And top gives me paradise and shift. Paradigm shift. Number 4. And 4 is taking on karma and Kabbalah numerology. In tarot, 4 is Aries energy with the Emperor. It's my way, the highway. So there's something about making sure that, we look at shifts and changes with a flow, not this cemented idea that it's only going to happen this way and no other way. You'll perish if you don't flow. I'm not kidding. So let me read that to you. Number 4, paradise shift. You are undergoing radical growth in your belief system. No shit. God. Now is the time to challenge old attitudes and questions previous expectations. You are in an extraordinary time. Great leaps forward can be made in a moment. The world you thought you knew can suddenly break open and a new world can become your reality. This is why I love this woman. She's amazing. Buddhism sometimes speaks of the beginner's mind, and that which assumes nothing and therefore is open to everything. A spiritual psychologist might call this the inner child, as it is innocent, curious, unfixed, and always learning. It doesn't get stuck on an answer having to be one way. There is openness to the unknown with curiosity instead. All souls can sometimes find it hard to recapture their not knowingness. Asking someone with a lot of experience who may have become a bit world weary to drop expectations and look at the world through fresh eyes can be challenging. Yet life becomes much more energizing and interesting when you're open and don't hold expectations about what will be. Our expectations are super limiting. And that's why when we are in the face of our own magic sometimes, we're like deer in the headlights. We can't believe it. And then it dissolves like sand. Suddenly you are receptive to the universe helping you in ways that in the past you did not believe possible. Did you hear that? Suddenly, okay, you are receptive to the universe helping you in ways that in the past you did not believe possible, all because you kept an open mind. If you are feeling that you don't really know yourself, your relationship, or your place in the world as you once did, if you are feeling that what you once held to be certain now seems to be a little shaky, these are signs that you're going through a paradigm shift. This will bring you new perceptions that will free you to be in the world in new ways. You will find yourself shedding all limits, fears, and misconceptions. You are stepping beyond what you have known. You are a bit like a traveler in a new city feeling awkward until he gets the lay of the land and how things operate in that new place. As you trust the unexpected and unknown, the universe will be able to help you in unexpected and previously unknown ways. If you find yourself questioning the views of mass media or spoken in the conversation that those around you are having, or take heart and know that you are awakening from a fear-based world into a love-filled reality, your confusion will soon transform into joy at discovering that you are free and have no reason to be afraid. You are encouraged by the universe to embrace the powers you have to be a free thinker. Accept the accelerated mental shift happening for you, even if it creates temporary uncertainty or discomfort. Dare to think thoughts of love rather than lower your vibration by choosing thoughts of fear. Trust for some things helpful and empowering is happening in your soul. This is the number 12 challenge. That's exactly what this is. Because if you keep going into fear, by the way, don't mistake fearlessness and raising your frequency with ignoring what's happening on the planet right now. Don't confuse those two. Those are not the same concepts. Don't make that mistake. Don't bury your head in the sand because you're afraid of losing your frequency. Do you get what I mean? That's such bullshit. You want to make sure that you see what's going on and you are there helping in stepping into the light to raise the frequency of the planet while you know it's going through a massive shit show. Okay? That is really important for you not to hide facts, which a lot of spiritualists are saying and telling people to do. Oh, you gotta ignore that. You just gotta be in your own bubble, love. Just kumbaya. Yeah, that's fear. That's based on fear. That's fear. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my mojo. I'm feeling really drained. I'm afraid of being drained. The soul is never drained. Read that in the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. The soul is never drained. It is an illusion of the monkey mind, the false ego. That is drained. And he writes a perfect example of that in his book, The Untethered Soul. Perfect. So the soul is fearless. It's the monkey mind, the false ego that you have to control. And you have to control it. You have to train it like you train a puppy. So when you tell me, or you tell someone like me, well, I just can't meditate. I'm just not successful at meditating. Or I meditate an hour and then 2 weeks will go by and then I don't meditate. That's who you've done nothing. But if you meditate a minimum, I have some clients literally, I say, listen, if all you can do is 5 minutes a day for the rest of the year, but please do it every day. There's no excuse now. Like literally you can do it in your shower, sit on the bathtub and meditate 5 minutes on the clock. Come on, let's stop, okay? So the reason why you do that is just like you train a puppy not to pee on the floor, right? It's consistency, it's discipline, it's love to self. It's all of that. I'm constantly being asked by, oh God, TikTok is constantly asking me to make sure I'm not. It's the 12th here also. Yes, it's the 12th here as well. So the 12 was a massive number today because you can either be the victim and the sacrifice, right? Today, right? Let's do today's date, actually. Let's look at whoever's born today. Let's do their numbers. What the hell, right? We're here. All right, so today is 3 plus 1. Let's look at what their life path is going to be in this incarnation. What are their challenges as many of them are being born around the world? No challenges, my friend. They got 12, the sacrifice and the victim. They're going to have to work through that, whoever is born today. But 14 is magnetic communication with the public. They have one life path because there's no 9s. So magnetic communication with the public, fantastic. Love it. There's no problem. The problem that I do see, though, is a lot of the people coming in here, which is 3, right? Which is, what is it? Yeah, 3, right? Because 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 5, here's the other shadow. The shadow is 8. They're coming in and they've got karma to pay. For themselves, probably, most likely. A lot of them are probably, some of them are volunteers and they are finishing up some things. It's kind of like going to university and taking the last class is the hardest class. And then you get your documents, your certificate of completion. It's kind of like that. They're coming in to do some heavy lifting. Okay? And then you have some others coming in who are in the deep shadows, who really do owe karma. They owe massive karma. And hopefully they can use their gift of communication with themselves, with others, to learn from what's about to happen to them as they take on these incarnations today. So that's the numbers for today. Isn't that interesting? So that, yeah, it's wild, the 12. And we had 10 people. Yeah. Any other questions? Does anybody want to do their numerology with me today? Because I'm going to do it probably one more time tomorrow, and then I'm leaving to upstate New York. So this is going to be my last one for a while, because then I'll be on the road. So if you want it, today's the day. If you want a reading, contact me on my website. Okay, don't contact me on TikTok, please. I'm not going to contact you on TikTok. I'm straight up. I'm not going to approach you. I'm not going to hit you up for a reading. If you want a reading, I'm available until tomorrow. And I can do a life path reading with a psychic reading, and we can see where you're at on your journey with your beloved. And if this is a twin flame, if you are suffering over your life path, because it is a twin flame, we want to make sure that you're not, you could have a past life connection with someone where you've had, this person was a lover for you for multiple incarnations, and each incarnation was a betrayal of some kind. I know that happened to me with a particular individual, and thank God I personally went to my hypnotherapist. So it is what it is, my friends. It is what it is. Does that make sense? Any questions? What does the Oracle card in 12 say, if you don't mind? Yeah, no, it's the Hangman. I said it already. It's the Hangman, and it's just, I'm going to see things from a different perspective. That's it. It's the Hangman means I'm pausing this button. I'm not moving. I'm not doing shit. If it's upside down, it means everything's moving. But if it's upright, it meaning the Hangman is hanging upright. Meaning, how do I explain this? When it's upside, when the Hangman looks like he's standing on his feet, that's reverse. So you have to transmute these energies. Is my point. You cannot walk and give yourself. In other words, overgive. So I would say that 12 is the card of the overgiver. It's the number of the overgiver. It's the person who, not the Hangman, by the way, that's a different subject, but the Kabbalah numerology of 12 is too much. It's like not just constantly sacrificing self. And honestly, like sometimes I wonder, I mean, we've all done it. Many of us, especially women, There massive amounts of women are in jail today, first offenses, whatever, because they trusted a lover beyond their own trust, signed papers, did things that they shouldn't have done, knew better, but wanted to sacrifice themselves at the altar of love for their beloved, and they got fucked over. Okay, those stories just amaze me. There are men who are, in fact, there's an incredible movie based on that very thing. Hang on, Body Heat. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Body Heat, but that's the story of a man who sacrifices himself for the love of a woman, and it fucks him over. William Hurt played I remember seeing that, as a matter of fact, in New York City. William Hurt plays the man who sacrifices himself on the altar of love, and Kathleen Turner plays the Black Widow, if you will. So people do it all the time. They know better, and yet they do it anyway. It's called a neo-noir erotic thriller. Yeah, you should watch it. It's a hell of a movie, actually. It's an incredible movie. But at some point, we've all had to be on the crossroads of, do I do this for this person? Do I sacrifice myself on the altar, or do I choose me? And some people take choosing me a little too far. Honestly, I'm going to be straight up. They're like selfish. I'll give you a great example of somebody choosing themselves a little too far. And you might not like me for saying it. Bruce Jenner. Bruce Jenner, I think, is a good example. I don't know how he came on my feed, because I really don't give a shit about the Kardashians, but he came on my feed that, I forgot which chick, they all look the same to me. I guess they go to the same plastic surgeon. Anyway, one of the chicks, one of his daughters, I guess, or stepdaughter, I don't know. But anyway, so he'd gone through the, transformation. And she said, "Are you going to change your name?" He goes, "Yeah, I was thinking about it, but no, I was going to do it." And she said, "Well, when were you going to tell me?" He was very, very defensive. And there was a cruelty to that selfishness. Because instead of saying, "No, you're right, I should tell you. Yeah, I will have a family meeting and I'll tell you everything that's going to happen." And he was very, very defensive. And I thought, this is somebody who's taking I choose me to the point of like cruelty. And you could see she was hurt. She was like actually hurting. And she said, "Can I still call you daddy?" And he said yes. She said yes. There's levels of selfishness. I just found out with Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, whatever, that she, okay, out of respect, was voted Woman of the Year after having 2 car accidents and killing 1 person in a car accident. I'm like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. The level of stupidity in some of these, but here, for the hell of it, for shits and giggles, let's look at Bruce Jenner's birthday, just for the hell of it, because this fascinates me, because I look at someone who really didn't give a shit about other people, because there were, and I don't know if you guys know that, I don't know how old you are, but when I lived in Paris, when I lived in Switzerland, there were tons of people who were changing their gender. That was not something cutting edge. It was happening back in the 70s. They were all going to Brazil. There were amazing plastic surgeons who were doing amazing work in those days. And I mean, these guys who transitioned to feminine, oh my God, they were gorgeous. Absolutely fucking... I remember going to a cabaret in Switzerland. I was 18 with my French lover. And I turned to him and I said, "I give up being a woman. They outdo me." They were gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So I don't know why somebody would play this game for this long and then literally, pull the rug from everybody. There was a lot of people to think about, So when he had that conversation with his daughter, one of his daughters, I was like, dude, come on, be a little more kind here. She's fucking hurting. Can't you see that in her eyes? She's actually on the verge of tears. He didn't give a shit. So when you look at 28, he was one of the 28th. It is the trusting lamb. And then it turns into 10, the wheel of fortune, into 1, the sun. When you look at his life path, you've got 34, which is the journey. When you take out the 9, because he was born in, it's 25. It's discrimination and analysis. It's learning from other people's mistakes. So it might have been that he honestly had to go through a lot to come to a place of saying, "I'm going to be me for me." But it was almost like he was angry. And I'm going to tell you something, why I don't like him. I'll tell you why. My husband was 15 years old working at NBC Studios as an intern. And I'll never forget him telling me, and my husband was 6'2", okay, at a young age, okay? At 15, he was 6'2". And beautiful, beautiful boy. He was a beautiful young man, absolutely stunning. And I remember him telling me that he was walking down the hallway in NBC Studios, and how at the time, Bruce Jenner at the time, like literally smashed into his shoulder, like almost to a 15-year-old boy. And ever since I heard that story, I kind of understood the basic premise of his character, to be honest. But when I heard that Caitlyn Jenner, she got Woman of the Year, I was like, you know what? Bullshit. Especially with what I knew from the past and some of the things that I heard about the car accidents, one being a death, and how that person was honored. It's we as women, we've been men before in many incarnations. We've gone way, many of us who were born in the 60s and 70s have gone through sexual harassment. We've gone through all kinds of harassments. We've gone through all kinds of having to leave jobs because it was that, or having, with the boss. We've gone through a lot of stuff. And for someone that hasn't gone through that, to get Woman of the Year, for me, is an insult to the feminine, to the feminine energy. It's an absolute insult. I think there's so many women that have done great things over the last 30, 40 years. There were plenty of women to pick. Right now, Susan Sarandon, who I've always loved, actually, believe it or not, has my absolute respect. Susan Sarandon has been incredible. In fact, let's do her numbers. Speaking of which, so here's Susan Sarandon, who's 77 years old, who could literally, basically, just kick ass and lay back and take a young lover like Cher and just enjoy herself. She's still a fantastically beautiful woman. But let's look at. So she was born October 4th. Right off the bat, 4 is taking on karma, aka the Little Mermaid, which I've done videos on that. Okay, and then we're gonna go right into adding. She was born in 1946. Okay, right on the heels of the end of the World War. We're going to add her numbers. She's got a 9, so we'll be taking that out in a minute. But let's just look at the whole story. So right there, she's a volunteer. And here she is, 25. 25 is discrimination and analysis. It's taking out, it's learning from other people. I'm going to make sure I'm correct, though, just in case. So I'm going to add it again, just in case. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly, because one digit off and that's it, the whole thing collapses. It's meaningless. I'm sorry. Okay, wrong. It was 26. Okay, so 26 is partnerships. And partnerships is once you get into your power as a human being, right? Once you understand your power, what happens is that you will be able to discern how to partner with the right people, and you'll understand who the wrong people are for you. I'm sorry, hang on. I'm still getting, I don't know why. Sometimes I do these numbers and I've got to do it a couple times. Let me do it again. Hang on. Let me make sure, because it's 5. Also fait 6. 6 et 10, 16. Okay, hang on, okay? Let me add the 9 to that. This is bizarre. Anyway, 4 is taking on karma. And this is so weird. I don't know why it goes back and forth. This is like, I don't know if it's my calculator doing this and I'm doing it in the head. No, I'm correct. It's 25. 25 is the journey. So the journey is her just, and she has, if you've seen her movie, Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was her first ever movie, and she was absolutely incredible. But subsequently, she's been on this journey. She learns from other people's mistakes. She learns from her own mistakes. She has a massive amount of spiritual wisdom. When you add 7 plus 4, it comes out to the 11. And that's interesting because at some point she must have been a muzzle lion. She must have been a pretty girl, that kind of thing. And she has turned into a lioness. She is really speaking out against what's happening right now in Gaza, regarding people in Gaza. So she is speaking out, as you've seen her, wearing her keffiyeh, doing her thing, and kicking ass. And at 77, I'm proud of her, because there are a lot of women her age who don't understand what's going on, who are very rigid in their thinking, and she has kept her brain, her Shakti energy moist and malleable and bendable, and she is ever blooming, ever ever loving, ever wonderful. She is, I have massive respect for her. Let's look at Mel Gibson, by the way, just on the side note, because he is such a rebel. I love rebel. If I'm going to look at a star, a celebrity, I prefer if we just look at people who are kick-ass and who are rebels. So he was born January, so he's a Capricorn, January 1956. Okay, another guy who put his head on the block, who doesn't give a shit, which I love. He's paying. You can tell it's showing on his face. Again, another 25, learning and discrimination. You can't make this shit up. And I'm confident that I did the number correctly. So again, 1 plus 3, right? 3 is the planet Jupiter. It's about idealism. It's about, in fact, religion. With him, he's, as you know, I don't know if you guys know, he's a diehard Catholic. In Malibu, he had built a little chapel on his compound in Malibu Beach, California. And so 25 gives a lot of beautiful wisdom. The way he created the movie Braveheart, if you look at it, the details on the set, the details in the dialogue, the details and all of that. He was very much involved with that. He's an amazing director, amazing actor. If you watched him in the first movie ever, Lethal Weapon 1, when he's playing Russian roulette in his camper, if you've ever seen that scene, it's a hell of a scene. It's a hell of a scene to put together with cameras in your face. So he is a very wise. There's a lot of wisdom in him. He's irreverent. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care if he's politically correct or not. He has stepped in dog doo. We've all stepped in dog shit. All of us. None of us walk on water. But he is quite something. So 25 is his number. Okay, when you take out the 9, because he was born in 1956, it's 16. Now that's interesting because 16 is a collapse. In Kabbalah numerology, it is a collapse. And in tarot, it's a collapse. It's called the Tower. And what that means is you rise to fame, which is exactly what happened to him, and boom, the tower hit. So he went to the highest realms, like nosebleed levels of success. I mean, nosebleed levels, okay? And because he was one of the few ones making $20 million a picture when very few of them were hitting that kind of money. I remember when Marlon Brando made $1 million for his role as the father of Superman in Superman. People were like, oh my God, $1 million. So this guy was making 20 million when people were still making, I don't know, probably 1 million. But anyway, 16 is the collapse. And he's transmuted that collapse with the journey, which is 7. And 7, hang on for a quick second. 7 is a number that's connected with Jupiter. Okay, it's a planet Jupiter, which is fantastic because it's emotions, it's passions, it's, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on there. And bear with me, okay? And it is the Chariot. 7 is the Chariot. Fast-moving energy. It's Cancer energy, by the way, on the side note. But it's about moving. It actually means cars, transportations. It means riots. It means it means all kinds of shit. And fast. It means fast action going on. He's yelling because my son left. And he cries for my son. They're like, I don't know, they're like soulmates because he can't live without my son. If my son left without him, like once my son goes to Europe, I said you're gonna have to take Ian because I don't think he'll survive. All right. Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine was born April 24th, 1934. She's a Taurus. Which surprises me, actually. That's cool. I follow it. So 24 is love, money, and power. And it is the vibration of 6. 6 is the planet Venus, co-creation with the universe. This woman's put her ass on the line to wake people up with Out on a Limb, the book, Out on a Limb. If you've never read the book, read the book. Because you have no idea how much shit she was getting for that book. Absolute massive shit. Massive shit. It was unfair. It was so unfair. But anyway, no, it's okay. I got it. So Shirley MacLaine vibrates to the number. So 24, let me back up. 24 is 6. 24 is the day my son was born. When I was pregnant, I did not do a C-section. I was so excited when I went to the labor 23rd because I figured we'll have him at 23rd, we'll have him on the 24th, and he came out the 24th. I was so happy. It's a hell of a number. So, love, money, and power. 2 plus 6, 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is love, Venus planet, and then boom, you add her numbers, and she is a 27. 27 is the scepter. The scepter is somebody who has come with all spiritual wisdom, and she sure in the fuck did. She's come into, it doesn't bestow money, but when you are spiritual aligned, like she has been, she's done massive work. She did a whole series of chakra work, guided meditation chakra work in the 80s. Okay, and you can look it up on YouTube. Look up Shirley MacLaine chakra work or chakra meditations, and you will see them. And it's sad because it's not been re-released, and yet they were amazing. In fact, I used to do her chakra work, guided meditations all the time, and I could tell you a story where I was in meditation and I saw my twin coming out of nowhere, the mist, after almost 25 years, something like that, 26 years, and I thought he had crossed over. So her work is magnificent, and yet she has been hunted down like a witch. When you take the 9 out of the 27, which is 18, you have spiritual and material conflict. And spiritual and material conflict is exactly what happened to her. Because when she came out of the closet as a spiritualist, she was treated like she was a leper. She was treated like shit by people who should have been kind and polite. She was interviewed by very famous journalists. Half of them I don't remember. The other half I don't care to remember. And it was a debacle. It was the most unfair hunting. It was a public witch hunt against her for out on a... Read the fucking book and go, what the fuck was that all about? What were they so afraid of? But she put her ass on the line. She used to have a beautiful website when the internet was just starting. She was one of the ones who understood the power of the internet. And she had her own page, and she had she had some wonderful spiritualists working under her, and she was doing a lot of things like Louise Hay was doing, but I mean to a smaller level, but like doing your astrology, doing your this, doing your that, and guided meditations and things of that nature. And finally she closed shop. I don't blame her, fuck it. She closed shop. She's 89. She's doing her movies, Downton Abbey. If you see her, she's in the movie, the series Downton Abbey. You'll see her featured. And I don't blame her. Fuck it. It's like, why am I gonna keep going out on a limb, And they haunted her for about, I'd say, 15 years. It was always a joke. Joan Rivers, people like that, they were just a-holes. So thank you for bringing her up. I love it. I really appreciate that. So if you want to do your life path with me, you're going to get some interesting information about it. God bless her. She's 89 years old. Love that woman. I really do. But she's gotten a little bitter, but I don't blame her. I'm like, girl, you fucking... But hopefully she'll get soften. She'll soften. I hope to God she'll soften. Warren Beatty is her brother, as you well know. And they are like fucking night and day. You can't... they're not the same. Not the same at all, people. That's for sure. Any questions on that? Wasn't that interesting? Yeah, I know. Wow, Jennifer, right? Yeah, she's quite something. She is quite something. And she had a twin flame, by the way, and she writes about it in Out on a Limb. And it's interesting, too, because I just saw that she was married to Stephen Parker, and he was born February 6, 1922. The cool part is that she's a 24, which is a 6, and he was a 6 too. He was born February 6. So he was a 6 as well. So they both had some kind of soul contract right off the bat. That tells me that right off the bat. He was born 1922. Let's look at that just for the hell of it. Let's see what it shows. And he was what I call, he had some shadows. 22 is not the best number. I don't know why people think 22 and 11 are master numbers. They're not. 9 is a master number. But 22 in Kabbalah is submission and it's fear. It's fool's paradise. It's karmic obligations. It's fucking up. If you want a reading, Brittany, it's $108 for an hour. Okay? If you want to do your numerology, it's $15 for you and another $4 for your twin. If you want to do the numerology, the life path reading. So, yeah, 22, going back to that, is not a good number. But when you add 2 plus 2, which is 4, it's also the number of somebody who has volunteered. And I think he volunteered, honestly, when I look at just a little bit of what I know about him, and it's not much, just to be clear, it feels as if he volunteered to give some kind of partnership with Shirley, and Shirley and him had a beautiful daughter called Sachi, and I believe they lived in Japan for a little while. But there's not a lot of information with Sachi Parker. She's like 67. They look, I wouldn't say they look alike. I think they, like all mothers and daughters, it can be very tragically hard for mothers and daughters to come to the middle and talk. So those of you who have wonderful mother-daughter relationships, you're very blessed, but that's not the norm. There are libraries and libraries of books of how mothers just don't seem to know how to be toxic-free mothers. It's I struggle as a mother. I struggle with that too. I'm constantly being very aware of what I have to do to be a better parent. And I finally had to have a conversation with my son and saying, listen, you have to see me not as a mother anymore because you're a young man. You have to see me as maybe a mentor. So that those dynamics, so that stops me from being too motherly, too protective, or too scolding, or too stern. Does that make sense? So I have to change the title from mother to mentor. Right? And he actually accepted that. He said, yeah, you are my mentor. And I'm like, good, I'm honored to be your mentor. But because if I keep being your mommy, I'm going to ruin you. So, you know what I mean? So there's that. Does that make sense? Any questions? Does anybody want to do a life path reading? If not, I'm going to shut it down and I might come back on tonight, But I don't do yes, no questions on tarot. Unless we know that it's entertainment only, and then if I do it at some point, it might be $5 for a yes or no question. But I'm going to tell you straight up, entertainment only, because I would never do it and have you change your life and do something rash based on a bloody yes no question where I can't hear your voice, I can't pick up on your energy, and I don't even know if that's your real name or whatever. Does that make sense? I need to pick up on the vibration, and I really don't feel as if lives like this, where I can't even hear your voice, where I would honestly and honestly give you the right information. However, with numerology, it's a no-brainer. It's numbers. It doesn't lie. And that's why the more I do these famous people, and some of us know their history, or a little bit of their history, we see the truth in these numbers. So hopefully that helped you. Any other questions? Any questions? Jennifer, do you have any questions? You're good? So I'm going to upload this video on my TikTok. Not my TikTok, excuse me, my YouTube channel. I have tons of lives. Some lives are about this, and it'll say live, and it'll say life path number, and it'll have today's date, so you can look for it. But I also do lives where we talk. We talk about what we're doing. You know what I mean? We talk about all kinds of things. We talk about humanity. We talk about kindness. We talk about how to be better persons, how to be better souls, how to be not judgmental. Some of my lives are with other people, like Andromeda Flame, and Nancy Narvan. You might want to look for that. It says Andromeda Flame. It says Nancy. Check that one out. It's a 4-hour talk. It was really brilliant, actually, because it was 4 women who were talking about injustice, about spirituality, about pretty much everything you can imagine, right? And I just love conversations like that. I'm hoping to do lives more, like sooner than later, where I have more people that are involved. But typically, if you ask me to join my live, I don't. I really don't invite people I don't know, because I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to prove any point. Thank you for your live. Oh, absolutely. I'm not here to prove I don't want to fight. You know, I'm not here to prove. So some of the lives I've joined are have been pro this and pro that. And if you know anything about me, you know what I mean by pro. Pro human rights. And this is why I admire Susan Sarandon, because she really doesn't need to do a damn thing. She's got her money, she's got her thing. But that's why I'm so upset with billionaires. Because you and I both know, this is where we're going to kind of end it at this note, because I want you to think about this as we close up this live. Billionaires walking with $100 billion who plan not to give all of it to their children. Many of them, if you listen to any of them, they'll go, oh yeah, I'm only going to leave them, like Bill Gates, I'll only leave him $10 million. Why? Why would you do that? Then why are you amassing all the, oh, well, he donates. No, he doesn't. He doesn't donate to the right things. But so he doesn't. But you and I both know that the infrastructure of our country needs help, right? Meaning we have massive, massive, massive amounts of homeless people who many of them are not drug addicts. Not that there's anything wrong with that, to be honest with you, in terms of it doesn't preclude them from getting human rights. That's what I meant by that. They're not getting care that they need. They're not getting the therapy they need. They're not getting the alternative therapy they need. If each billionaire who was sitting on let's say 7 billion, most of them are sitting on more than that, dropped $1 billion in this country, each of them who live here, who barely pay taxes here, right? If each of them did that, this country would fucking be the greatest country you've ever seen in the entire history of in the last 12,000 years. Not since Atlantis would we see such a place. We haven't since Atlantis, since Lemuria on this planet. If they all did that, it would be done. We would have abundance for everyone. What does abundance mean? It means having good nutrition, it means having clean water, it means having medical care, preemptive medical care. Preemptive meaning you go and have a checkup and you talk about what you're eating and what you're not eating, and your doctor is giving you some herbs or telling you to do these herb teas or tinctures, and you're taking care of your health before your health collapses due to stress. It also means your children are safe. It means that you can, you have schools that actually want to create thinkers, not ants. That's what I mean by that. And there's no excuse. It's inexcusable. We are not here to shame millionaires or billionaires, but we have to demand that they actually distribute the wealth. I mean, fuck, how many times do you have to make a Robin Hood movie? Robin Hood movie. How many versions do we need? It's not okay. It's never been okay. So it's a great movie, but not a good reality, apparently. So this level of care needs to be demanded by that certain sect of people, and it must be demanded. It has to be redistributed correctly. It's what people are meant to do. Because when they're, just so you know, there's this crossroad moment where you're given a massive amount of success and your job is to give back. Do you really think Dr. Joe Dispenza needs to keep traveling all over the country, all over the world, and doing his clinics, his sessions, his 7-day seminars that are exhausting? He has people up at 3 o'clock in the morning, shit like that. I mean, he's doing it because he's giving back. So we have to do better. We have all these wonderful people. Did you think Michael Singer, who is a billionaire, by the way, had to write the book because he needed money? No, he wrote the book, The Untethered Soul, the Surrender Experiment, all of these books to help people get out from underneath their own self-loathing and self-limiting beliefs. So he wrote those books when he was a billionaire. He didn't need to write those books. He didn't need the money. So at least he's giving back in that sense. Plus he has a community of, if you read his Surrender Experiment, you know what he built in Alachua, Florida. So what I'm trying to say is we need better. When Anita Roddick set up the Body Shop, okay, she is the person, she set that up in 1976 in London. She is the first businesswoman who went into the indigenous areas of South America and Africa and so on, other places, to gather like cocoa butter and all kinds of different ingredients that she would sell and say this was ethically bought from indigenous women. It was women that she was concentrating on, and Body Shop was made. Now Body Shop has no, you can't even recognize Body Shop from what she had created. So what I'm saying is, we've had wonderful leaders who did wonderful things, wonderful business people who did wonderful things, and today we have no one. No one's doing anything wonderful for its people. That's why we're seeing this collapse. So, not to preach, but what the hell? Let's, we need to have more discussions like that with our girlfriends, with our friends, and our male friends. Let's not just talk about football and bullshit and the toilet needs to be redecorated, or kumbaya yoga. Some guy just said something that really blew me away, and I was like, holy fuck, that's right. Our yoga clothes are made out of polyester, which is toxic to our bodies. What are we doing? We need to stop buying yoga clothes made with polyester. If it's not 100% cotton, with a little bit of lycra, like I remember in the 80s and 90s when leggings were made with 95% cotton, 5% lycra. Good luck in finding those leggings today. And by the way, if you know where to buy them, let me know, because I need some. But that's what I'm saying. There's all of this toxicity that's been allowed, infiltrated on our day-to-day mundane lives, and we need to demand more and stop supporting people who don't support, the nameless multitudes of homeless people, and particularly in this country. We need more. I still look back at Jimmy Carter as being the greatest president. I'll tell you why, because he was out there in his later years with his wife Rosalind, building Habitat for Humanity. He was building little houses for people. He didn't have to do that. He could have retired. Look at all the Bushes. They've all retired. Reagan never did a damn thing. None of them did anything. But he did. Until I guess he couldn't physically do it anymore because he's so old. He's in his 90s now. And God bless him, his wife passed away. So his best buddy, his partner. But when he said that he had lust in his brain, they attacked him like he was a pariah. Good people get attacked constantly. And so we as a community of Starseeds, we need to protect each other from attacks. We do need to be a village that protects each other, because good people with right intentions do get attacked by media, social media, and so forth. But if we stand together, eventually those energies will dissolve on its own. If we stand together united with loving presence for each other and support, emotional and physical, and support, So anyway, I want to let you go. I want to thank you for everything. It's hard to find cotton clothing anymore. I have bamboo. It's such an easy fix. It wasn't for the ego. Yeah, I have to look for bamboo, but I'm making a conscious effort to purge a lot of things until I can find alternatives that I can afford. There's the other thing is affordability, because I'm very aware that this is a subtle assault to our physical bodies. Polyester, whereas cotton is closer to our vibration. So you can meditate all day long in your fucking yoga clothes, but your body won't feel grounded. You know what I mean? Because of the polyester is counteracting all your efforts. It's so fucked up. It's unbelievable. Merino wool clothing sounds good to me. You guys, hit me up if you guys know of manufacturers that are offering these alternatives, then let me know. I'm serious. Thank you, Tony. I'm so grateful to learn from you. Sending you much love. Me too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. So I will be back. If you guys want me to do another reading, and tonight I will. I've got a lot of packing to do. I'm trying to find a holder for my phone so that I can see, I can show you guys lives. I'll do lives on the road so you can see what we're seeing. I would love to do that for you guys. Or my son will have to hold the phone in his hand while I'm driving. And then we'll talk. And then he'll read the comments. I think that would be fun. So we're going to try to make this journey fun. We want to include you on this journey to our house, to the farm. And it's all hands on deck in terms of us as a people. And mostly all of you are women. If there's one or two men right here, I thank you for being there. But I'm pretty sure you're a unicorn. And I should do it. You know what? I think I'm going to do a video on what the masculine unicorn entails. Because when men are in my lives and stay this long, they're usually highly sensitive, beautiful souls that are in themselves trying to find out their own healing journey. And they're trying to come back to their beloved. And typically the beloved that they pine for is usually a very masculine energy in terms of, or yeah, actually, I'm not going to correct that. It is a masculine energy. The runner energy is a very, I hate to say that, it's a very masculine energy, and it deals with power and control. And when you can't master that. If you can't have the power and control, then you become a runner. If you can't understand what's happening to you, you become a runner. And that seems to be more masculine energy, which we also embody in ourselves. But I feel that when we are celebrating and surrendering to our deep connections with the beloved, and all of our chakras are exploding with bliss, being with them, it doesn't scare us as much. Okay, we sit with that, we rock with that, we hold it, and we honor it. What makes a woman who is a chaser turn into a runner is when is when the masculine, typically the masculine, God bless you guys who aren't those runners, but I'm talking about what I see a lot. The feminine at that point doesn't want to be hurt anymore. And what I'm going to tell you is you can't be hurt on that. Once you've had the first dark night of the soul, it's an inoculation. It will sting again, but it will never bring you down to your knees to that level ever again. The only time you can go to that level of depth is when your person passes. That's when it happens. Okay. Outside of that, yeah. All right, my loves. I'm going to send you much love. Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon. Talk to you soon. Namaste. I will upload this on my YouTube. Please don't get hustled. Please, if you want a reading with me, go on my website, tonybarca.com. Fill out your intake form. Make sure you do a WhatsApp. If you're outside the country, I talk to people all over the world. We use WhatsApp. It works perfectly, and it's all good. But please, I will not hit you up for a reading, okay? Just be safe. Namaste. Be well.